Hey everybody, how's it going? If you saw the title and thumbnail, you know that I'm going to be making a shark with shark tooth armor, which I hope will be pretty cool. These are fossil shark teeth, although I am an amateur in every aspect of this video, so don't judge too hard, but enjoy. So to start off with, we're going to need some clay, but before we use the clay, we're going to need some aluminum foil. Now this is just to build the bulk of the body up, so it's not too large, not using too much clay, and isn't too heavy. Saves on cost and saves on weight. So we're going to get a piece of that, and we're just going to turn it into a nice little shiny turd, which I promise will turn into the body of a shark after a little persuasion, of course. Get it nice and shaped up here, and might not look very big, but of course we're going to be adding some clay on the outside of this, so I promise it'll get a little bigger. I'm going to go ahead and add this clay here. Make two nice pancakes, which, this one I kind of might have slapped down a little too hard. It takes a minute to peel off. But once I do, we're going to go ahead and put that on the top and bottom of our little shiny turd there, so we can start creating a craftable surface. Go ahead and get the top on there, and nice and easy put the bottom on. It's nice and lumpy, so we're going to go ahead and take a tool. This isn't a proper tool to try and smooth it out. Now this doesn't work very effectively, so I do eventually just kind of straighten it out and roll it out like a traffic cone. As you can see, it's not doing very well to smooth out these lumps, so we're just going to smooth it out, like I said, in a nice little traffic cone shape. And then afterward, we'll go ahead and bend it back into position, so it's got that nice curved shark body shape. Now this does unfortunately leave a couple little thumbprints there that you can see, impression, which I do try to smooth out. Doesn't work 100%, but we'll be sanding this here, and I'll also add a few pieces of clay to fill in those gaps there. It's nice and baked now, so like I said, we're going to go ahead and sand it. Now this does have the side effect of getting white powder absolutely everywhere and on everything, which does unfortunately include my camera lens, which I do not notice right away. So if you are wondering why the camera looks a little streaky, why everything looks a little overly bright, that is my mistake. This is my cat, Mew Mew. He is, a nice distraction for me. All right, got that baked, smoothed out, and sanded. So we've got a nice shape there, which finally I do notice some of that powder on the camera, although I think me using my fingers to wipe it off only makes it worse. But I do properly clean it here in the next 30 seconds or so. So we won't have to deal with this streakiness for that much longer. These are the teeth I'm adding here. They are mostly bull shark teeth from Venice, Florida, where I went diving to get these. Also got some cool meg teeth and stuff there. But these are just some beautiful bull shark teeth, fossil bull shark teeth, which I'm going to add to the body in this nice blurry shot. Looking good. And I do finally clean the camera here, so we can finally have a nice clean, non-blurry appearance here. Now what I've done is I've taken all the teeth off after baking and then put them in order, put some tape on them just so I can keep that, which definitely doesn't go horribly. My cats definitely don't step on it and fling the teeth everywhere, but that's, my problem to worry about, not yours. What I'm doing now, we're just going to go ahead and cut out the fin shape. I'm using the body as a reference just so I can hopefully get the sizing right on this. We're going to go ahead and cut that out. This is going to be the dorsal fin there. I might have said that wrong, dorsal fin. Either way, whatever fin it is, I'm adding it to it. And these are going to be the side fins there. Go ahead and cut the tail out, giving it a nice long upper fin. I do struggle to get it off the table there. Like I said, my problem, not yours. Cool. We added some toothpicks there, and that's going to make it easier to reattach them. These are, of course, nice and baked, but lumpy. So we're going to give them the same treatment where we're going to get an X-Acto knife out here and kind of carve out the shape. It's very similar to carving wood, actually. We're got to give the top fin that nice, classic notch in the top. Once we've done that, we get the sander back out and smooth it out. And as you can see, that gives it a nice, smooth looking shape. Kind of what we're going for, obviously. Give it the tail and the side fins here the same treatment, which does leave a bit of a mess, so we'll go and clean that up real quick. Obviously, there's little bits everywhere. Once you got those attached in the body, next step is going to be taking a worm of clay out here, which I will form here. And what we're going to do is wrap that around that gap there. Which I do realize that the other fins are kind of getting in the way, so I detached them to make it easier to do each individual fin. With this shaping tool, a little bit of water, and this tool is going to make it nice and smooth. And we'll go ahead and we're going to do the same treatment for the top fins and the side fins here. So like I said, give it a nice wormy dealy, shape it up, same thing with the side fins, and put it back in the oven to bake. Now this is going to be the more fine detailed part. You'll notice that we're going to be using a different color clay here, and that's because the clay we've been using up until now is original Sculpey. It's cheaper, but it's not as malleable, not as flexible. It doesn't hold detail as well, so we're going to be using this super Sculpey for the face here, just to add, make it a little bit easier for it to flex and hold detail. Cutting out the mouth here before getting a tool in here to open it up and scoop out some of the excess clay. And then we're going to ball roller here, just to give it a nice mouthy shape. Now you notice in the top corner there, we've got some pre-baked teeth. What we're going to be doing is adding those on here. So we're going to do some nice worm deal of clay, use some bacon one, hold it in, smooth it out, and we can go ahead and start putting these teeth in. Now these tweezers do absolutely nothing. I just switched straight to my fingers because that was not working. And you might notice, wondering, why are those teeth so far in? And that is because it is the first row of teeth. As you can see, we're adding 2 rows just to give that nice appearance of, growing teeth that sharks have. And like I said, do the same thing with the bottom row here. You can add the nostrils and the eyes. So, it isn't just a faceless blob. And I do add a bit of clay on the top there, just to give it more of that Brucey shark look instead of a lumpy fish look. Now the prey item that we're going to be going with here is an ammonite. Now I decided to go with a nice and wonky shelled ammonite. Normally, I have these nice spiral ammonites, but I wanted mine to be goofy and kind of, weirdly shaped, just for creativity purposes. So what I did, rolled out of a descendingly in thickness wormy dealy, and then I'm going to roll it out with my tools just to give it some texture, which, as you can see on the left-hand side of the screen here, gives it a nice texture to the shell, so it's not just a boring tube, I guess. And then this is where we're going to start shaping into those wonky, shapes here. I fidget with it for a little bit till I get something that I like. And yeah, as you can see, it looks pretty cool, I think. We'll go and put that in the oven to bake. And the next thing we're going to need are some tentacles. We're just going to use some bits of aluminum wire for this. And we're just going to stick those right into the face, right in front of that shell. Nice 8 tentacle look there. These are going to be the eyes of the ammonite. Then I'm forming those kind of, I don't know what to call them, jet propulsors on them, as that octopus have. Just skewering those on here, and then once those are baked, we can push those on to the face there. Go ahead and give it a top shell, shape it out, and that is our ammonite done. Looks pretty snazzy, I think. Yeah, I'm going to keep showing it off. Obviously, I think it's cool. Now, on to the airbrushing. So the first thing we're going to be doing here is adding a nice white base coat. just to kind of hold the colors. Give his belly some blue and then some yellow, gives a nice green look, and this is because he's going to be over some vegetation. So this will be kind of like the reflection off the bottom. We'll give his mouth a nice dark gray, before giving the top of his body this kind of, I don't know, sharky gray blue. Once that's done, we're going to give the Ammonite a yellow base coat, just so, like I said, same thing with the white base coat, just to hide the colors and make a nice balanced bottom. Also, if you think I'm bad at airbrushing, I don't disagree with you. It's my first time airbrushing ever. Cool, so now we're going to need a base, so I'm cutting out some foam here. This foam was not the easiest to do, but we'll go ahead and shape it up with a rock here, copying my favorite YouTuber, North of the Borders technique. Even though this doesn't end up being really seen or necessary, it was still fun to smash a piece of foam with a rock. Once we do that, we're going to mix up some sand, some Mod Podge, and in a second here, we're going to add some sandy colored paint. I don't even know what color paint it is. It just looks like sand. This will kind of help keep that color of the sand here. Get that nice and mixed up, and then we can go ahead and put it on the base foam here. Go ahead and smooth that out. And now I'm just sprinkling some sand on the top, just to kind of give it more texture and hold that shape a little better. We add quite a bit of that, actually. And then this is some acrylic rods. These are going to be what are holding up our Ammonite and my shark here. And I definitely don't have a hard time finding the hole I pre-poked for these. Definitely doesn't take me a minute to find the hole, which I do eventually find them. But as you can see, it takes a minute here. Once you got those in place, we're going to start adding some of the vegetation here. Now these are some broken down, just old aquarium plants, which I wasn't necessarily thrilled about the plasticky look, but I think that they actually looked really good in the end here. Now this is going to be kind of the harder part. This is some grass that I've actually 3D printed out. And my hope is that I can use this to kind of show the Ammonite using those little jet propulsor things, I don't even know what to call them, pushing away, smoothing them out, give it that look like it's actually pushing water from it. Once we got those all in, I add another piece of cardboard here just so I can hold up those aquarium plant pieces, so I can jam a bunch more of those in there, giving a thicker, more grown in look, so it doesn't look so patchy. Now the idea with the 3D grass is that we'll be able to cut those tops off and have a bunch, which I do. Once everything's dry, we got it nice and cut off, and this is where I was talking about I can start bending down all of these bristles to give it a more current blown look instead of just being straight up. Sweet. Getting all that pushed down. Once that's done, I add a couple more of those aquarium plant pieces, just give the grass a little more texture. Now to help these look a little better, I did, use a little bit of fire, just to kind of get the plasticky edges melted off them, because they did look a little plasticky before. But just holding them above a little flame helps get rid of that. Once we got all those in, it is time to do the detail painting on our shark and our Ammonite here. Now, even though sharks don't have red mouths, I wanted to give just a little bit tinge of red to the gums here. So I do just that before going over the mouth with a nice dark gray. And once that's done, we can give those teeth a nice white, so they stand back out and are covered in red and gray. Do a little nicer color yellow for the Ammonite. I didn't quite like the yellow base coat. And then I can go ahead and do a dry brushing off camera, which gives it a nice shell look. Once we do that, we can go ahead and paint its actual, fleshy body part with a nice lavender purple. I'm not going to pretend to know what color that is again. And I think it turns out really nice. It looks really good. Go and put those onto the base, and it is just about done here. Go ahead and give it a little bit of a look, and you can tell me what you think. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. I appreciate you being here and just wanted to thank you. And if you have any questions or any recommendations on what I can do better, I'm sure there are. I'm a very amateur artist. The only question you're not allowed to ask is if I am using a microwave plate as a turntable. Because of the answer right now, the answer is absolutely yes. That is definitely what I'm using for a turntable. But it's all I had, so can't judge me. Anyways, thanks again for being here, and hope to see you in another video. Bye.